Hello and welcome back to In Spirit with Missy Reno Smith.
And I'm Vanna Smith, and this is another episode in our Past Life series, and we're going to be talking about living lives back to back, and sometimes we live two lives at once.
Or more.
So I'm going to start off with the question of why do we sometimes live lives one after another?
Well, there can be a lot of reasons for that. I mean, there's no one, reason like this is why.
Yeah.
But I really think that it has to do with people who are, just real go-getters. Mm-hmm. They don't feel like they need a rest.
Yep.
Maybe they lived a short life.
Yep.
And so they're kind of prepared to go back in fairly soon. But most of us like a little bit of a rest between our lives.
How long of a rest do we typically take between lives?
Well, to me, I do a lot of regressions, so I kind of get to see what people are doing.
Yep.
And typically, it's like 100 years.
Yeah.
We typically like to take a nice long vacation. 100 years gives us the opportunity to greet most of the people that we knew.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's just a nice amount of time to get some rest, greet people that you love, and, then start, really kind of planning that next one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what can we really even, learn from starting that quickly? You're taking that rest and you're greeting and whatever, but is there something we can learn from just immediately starting like that, not taking that rest?
Well, sure. I mean, I think if you're not taking a rest, I mean, you're not as refreshed.
Yeah.
So you're going into a life without that, without that opportunity. And so patience might be a little harder for you. Mm-hmm. I mean, well, gosh, patience is pretty hard for a lot of people, no matter what. But, certain things just might be more difficult. So I do think it could make your lessons a little more intense.
Yep.
I also think that sometimes if we're doing that, typically the life we're going right into is related, somehow. Perhaps you are expanding on a lesson that you were learning in the first life.
Yep.
So going right into that next one to kind of get that next phase, that next class. You got 101 and now you're getting 102.
Mm-hmm. Are there times that we kind of don't take long enough to review our past life? Can that end up affecting our next life?
So if you jump so quickly that you didn't get to review, oh gosh, I think that would be pretty rare. I mean, the review process is pretty important.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really take that long.
Yeah.
I mean, the review process, just, from doing, so, I don't know, I can't even count how many readings I've done in my life, but, and all the spirits I've talked to, people who have recently passed, I typically say give them 4 to 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. The review process doesn't usually take that long.
Yeah.
But that at least gives them a chance to do the review, get a rest, get their sea legs, as I like to say it, and then talk to me.
Yeah.
So the review really isn't that long. So I don't think most people are jumping without a review. I mean, that's quick. That's really quick.
Have you ever jumped from one life to the next really quickly?
So I have done some regressions where I have seen myself going, I would say fairly quick for me, but I don't do anything fast.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's clear for anybody who knows me, nothing fast.
Yeah.
It takes me forever to do anything. And so I would say no on that. I might put 25, 50 years in between. That would feel extremely quick to me.
Yep.
But for somebody else that isn't quick enough.
Yeah.
It's just not for me. I need time. I need to relax. I need time to review and really research my next role.
Yeah.
So no.
I think we talked in one of our last episodes about past lives and all that I did jump from my past life into this life really quickly. So it's I'm a bit of a jumper sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, we know that you passed in the 60s.
Yeah, the
something,
60s.
and then you maybe had even a short one
The late
in between
60s, yeah.
there, like a real short one, like
Yeah.
coming in for somebody and passing very early, you know, as a child, and then into this one. So yeah, you might be a bit of a jumper, a little more comfortable with that process. Not me.
Yeah.
Not me.
I don't mind. I guess I don't mind it, you know. I mean, hey, you know, plan it quickly. I'm just real fast, you know.
You know, if I've planned out several lives in a row,
Yeah.
and like everything is just ready to go,
Yeah.
then I'm not going to need that long. I just need a break to rest.
Yep.
But if I don't have everything planned out, then I need time, because
Yeah.
I don't like to do anything. I don't think I'd like to do anything that's like not really organized, and that's just me. But there's some people who just fly by the seat of their pants. They're just like, give me whatever, and they'll go in. I don't want that.
I mean, someone like the Dalai Lama. I mean, he would plan it like one after another, right?
Yes, yeah, pretty much. Somebody who, so you have to understand though that all of those lives are planned out in advance. So, and he's living a very specific, very rare experience, and especially one where he's aware and knows of his past lives, and you know, other people are involved in this process, and they're aware and they know of, you know, so he's doing something like that's just totally out there. I think for, you know, most people wouldn't do that, wouldn't have the opportunity. I don't think God would give everybody that opportunity.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
He's practiced, he has been preparing for that role for, you know, millennia.
He's a pretty cool guy.
He is a pretty cool guy. And so I think it's a special thing. I think it's awesome. And you know, more power to him. I don't think I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not there. But it would be cool, I guess, if you got that opportunity. But you really do. You got to earn it. You can't just want it. People want stuff, but you have to earn it.
And to jump into the living two lives at once,
Okay.
I actually want to start off this question of have I ever lived two lives at once? I think that would be...
Yeah, I think most people have at least once. I think we all try it once, and sometimes more, you know. I think that there were times in our history where it was maybe a little easier to do that too. You know, life was very, hunter-gathering, and it was intense, but we didn't, it just wasn't as complicated, I guess. Life now can be a bit more complicated, I think, just technology and all these things that we do. But I think it was a little easier in the beginning because I've just through regressions and things, I tend to see, people not doing that currently, but having done it long ago. So I don't know, maybe that's why I'm associating it with that. But so I think most of us have. I know I have at least once. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. You have to, and I always bring it back to the video game analogy, right? Like
The Matrix.
Yes, because this is what life is like, and I don't mean to trivialize life in any way, shape, or form, but this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're over in heaven, and we're having this sort of fully immersed virtual reality experience. And when you're sleeping, you've got time to do other things.
Yeah.
So if you're living a life in the U.S. and you're living another life on the whole other side of the world, there's not often where you have to be consciously playing both games. You are, at times, but a lot of times you're just not getting that rest when you sleep, and that's so. I can understand how people can feel like they can control two games at once. When you get to 3, 4, 5, I mean, geez, I think you're a bit of an overachiever at that point, but if you can do it, okay. I just don't think that I would give my all into my current, into one of my lives if I'm doing two things at once. But yeah, you've done it. We've all done it. I don't think it's your style, either. It really isn't something that most people do. It's so rare for me to find somebody who's doing that.
Yeah.
And so because it's so rare, I don't know, I don't really think about it a whole lot, I guess. But I have met people who really have had these experiences where they had 5 lives going at once. And to fragment one's self in such a way, again, are you giving it your all? Truly, I don't know.
But why is it that we're really doing that? Because, I mean, we have an eternity of time. Why do we need to pack in all these lives that quickly? Why do we need to do so many at once? What's the point of that?
This is exactly my question to people who are doing it. Why? Why bother?
Yeah.
Life, we are eternal beings, and we have time. We simply don't have to do that. But like I said, some people are just they're like overachievers.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if that's a good term or not, but like they really just want to get a lot of experience in. And again, I mean, if you can do it, great. If you can do it and truly feel like you're giving it your all in each place and getting all the lessons that you need really, truly, fully getting that experience. I mean, if you can do it, great. It's not my talent. And so it's hard for me to understand it truly, the need, why, and such. Just because we have so much time. Like time is something, I mean, obviously not on earth. We only have so much time, but in heaven, you're true, like your higher self. I mean, time is an abundance.
Yep.
I mean, you have nothing but time. So, you can do and be and experience absolutely everything that you want to.
Yep.
One at a time, and just give it your full focus.
Are you able, or can you be aware that you are living several different lives?
Yes, you can. You can. The people that I have encountered that were doing this, they did have an understanding. They would have dreams, right? Because when you're asleep, you're not necessarily getting a rest. You're actually putting more focus on another life.
Yep.
So they would have very odd dreams that they were doing something else. Just very weird experiences, and they just had sort of a knowing.
Yep.
And you really can. Does that mean that everybody who's doing that does? No, but it's certainly possible.
That seems kind of almost frustrating a little bit too, to just imagining, going to sleep and then you're kind of just being a little bit aware that, you're living something else, but you can't quite fully live that, That just seems frustrating.
I think so too. I mean, I think it would frustrate me.
Yeah.
I just, I can't really, it's hard to fully imagine, even though I have seen myself doing it, not for 5, or just 2 lives at once. I've seen myself doing that in the past, but it truly was, it was like, it wasn't even on this planet, it was somewhere else. And the lives were very different from the lives that we live here and now in this time and on this planet. So, it's just hard for me to really truly grasp it fully and understand it.
Could you possibly like meet yourself?
No, I don't think they allow that. That would be like, like a glitch in the Matrix, and who knows what would happen. Would your brain explode? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what would happen. No, I don't think they allow that. I mean, we're typically pretty far away, and you're like, in different time zones.
Yeah.
And, and maybe you're even on different planets.
Yeah.
Because that time and space doesn't really matter so much in regards to that. I mean, if you're in heaven, you're playing the game, whether you're playing the game here on Earth and, some other planet, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, so you could just be in totally different places, which is cool.
Yeah, and this is kind of just a random silly question, not to do anything with living the 2 lives at once, but would a Freaky Friday situation be possible? You ever, watch Freaky Friday? Can me and you, switch bodies for a day?
Great question. Hilarious question. No, thank God, because you'd call me the Crypt Keeper, and I don't know, you'd be pretty weirded out to be in a body that's so much older than yours.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I don't think that's possible, but I do. Well, okay, that does bring us, multiple personalities.
Yeah.
Okay, so I love this phenomenon, and I feel so bad for anybody who's experiencing it, but I'm so interested in it because people who are experiencing this phenomenon talk about sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
They're always sitting in a chair in a room, and I talk about the chair, right? When we're living these lives and such, where our higher self is in heaven, we're sitting in this chair, which I refer to as a dentist chair, because that's what it looks like to me. That's what it looked like to me as a child, and so that's my childlike association with it. And so people who are having that experience talk about the chair.
Yep.
And that is a really great validation for me that something like that can happen, that we can take turns and that. But I want to be very clear. This is an extremely rare thing. It is, nobody's going to jump in and just use your body.
Yep.
Nobody can, if you're dying, nobody can jump in and take over your body. Yep. This does not happen. And I want to say that very strongly, because I've had people come to me who actually believed that a loved one who, was supposed to die but didn't die or something, or, and then they were different, and it just doesn't happen that way.
Yeah.
They could certainly have an experience where they go to heaven, near death, and they come back different, but they are still the same person. We're not doing that. So anybody who is having this sort of multiple personality thing, that was planned out from the beginning. It's extremely rare. It's super rare. If you're sitting there wondering, you probably don't have it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just super, super rare, but I do believe that it can and has happened.
That's very interesting. Wow. Yeah. I remember that movie Split. That movie Split was so good. I love that actor, James, what's his last name? James Mac, what was it?
I don't know. I know who you're talking about. I love it too. He's great.
Yeah.
He's, and he did such a great job of, each one was so different.
Yeah.
And, yet they're using and working with the same body, and they were just completely different characters. Actors are really cool. I mean, I'm jealous people who can go up there and do that. Like, I can't, you have that talent. I don't. It's really, I mean, we're all actors in this world, like we're the star of our own show and everything. But like, if you try to tell me to be somebody else, I go all robotic. Yeah. So I just can't do it. But like, no, it's really cool. Yeah. So he's awesome. I know who you're talking about. I'm like, it's like on the tip of my tongue too. And, and there's some other great films about that.
Not that they're all necessarily the best accurate representation of it. Especially that film. He was like hurting people or whatever.
Oh
that's not a great
entertainment.
It's entertainment
just
there.
Entertainment.
But he was I think just the switching of, becoming a different thing, that part, not the hurting people part, I think that was what it was. But
that's a M. Night Shyamalan
film.
Yeah. I really like his stuff.
His stuff he does some good films, some good, couple not so good in recent years, but otherwise he's had some really good ones.
I like everything. I don't know. I just like everything. But I really do appreciate that movie. That's a cool one. If you're, if you haven't seen it, you probably should check it out.
Yeah, that was a good one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But going back to living 2 lives at once, when you do live 2 lives at once, in both lives, are you able to kind of have like full and complete lives, like meaningful relationships with people and like complex emotions, or is it kind of like you're a bit robotic in each one?
Well, I think that you can have meaningful interactions, meaningful relationships, meaningful lessons.
Yeah.
I do think that you can, but I do think, again, you're fragmented. There is a part of you that is sort of missing. Yeah. So that's the question I ask. So is it a truly full experience if you're fragmented? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not taking away the fact that you're having meaningful experiences. Truly, not taking away that, but is it the most? And I personally have found for me that it's not. So I don't do that.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned from trying it and deciding this just isn't for me. You know, I have eternity to learn and do everything I want to do. So I'm just going to give everything my all when I do it. That's how I feel.
But in heaven, we can be in a few different places at once sometimes, too. Are we able to kind of fully be there and kind of have, like, meaningful interactions in heaven when we're kind of bilocating there?
Yes. We're all bilocating right now. You are bilocating right now because your consciousness, you know, you're here, but your higher self is also in heaven. So right now, absolutely everybody is bilocated. Okay. So that happens. That is something that we do. Anybody can do that in heaven. And there are people who can, in heaven, just are not really factoring lives on earth or other places in this dimension, but just in heaven. There are many people, spirits, whatever you want to call them, and angels. Of course, angels can do this, where they can be in many places at one time. And, you know, Jesus is a great example.
Yep.
Buddha, you know, there's a lot of people that, you know, we sort of consider these master teachers here on earth who are capable of this. They have been working extremely hard, learning how to do all of that, and you know, they had to prepare for those roles. They had to earn those roles, right? You can't just want them; you have to earn them, and they earned them, and they can do those things, and that's why so many people can have an experience, for instance, with Jesus, all at one time, which is really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing, and when they're doing that, they're not. It's not so much they're fragmented. I mean, it's like they have reached a state where they can truly do that, and it's different because it's heaven, and the laws of physics are different.
Yeah. So
than this dimension and fragmenting here, right? So, so I don't know. Like, yeah, it's a really cool phenomenon. You know, angels do it. And,
yeah.
You know, there are a lot of people who are called on, like saints in the Catholic religion. They're called on by so many people.
Yep.
And typically, you know, maybe they had kind of learned to do that before that life that they lived.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Maybe they're learning to do it now.
Yeah.
I always see the saints as having these really big groups of helpers, you know, people that help them, you know, kind of do the work. So when somebody's calling on them, you know, maybe they're not there personally, but they've got their representatives and everything. And it's really cool actually how that works. That's why the Catholic religion is actually very interesting to me, and you know their traditions and everything that they do, and how it works in heaven. It's just fascinating to me. But yeah, so being in multiple places at, you know, one time in heaven is certainly possible. And again, we're all doing that right now. So, you know, kudos for you.
Yeah.
You can do it. Everybody who's listening can do it because you're doing it now. But, you know, and can you be in more places? Possibly. The work that I do over there would require me to be in multiple places at one time, which is working in a library and helping people. And
you got to help everyone with their books all at once.
Yeah. But it's not, I don't know that that's like super impressive. I mean, I'm like, it's a very specific dimension place, and it's a very specific job, and they teach you how to do it and everything. So I don't think that that's like super impressive. Like what, you know, like Buddha or people can do and like all that. That's impressive.
Yeah.
But there's different types of jobs, roles, and things in heaven that do require that. And again, you got to learn it, you got to earn it. So it's really cool. But everybody should feel good about themselves. They're capable of it, you know, to an extent. And certainly if it's something that interests you, you could spend more time on it over there learning and growing.
I like to picture that I don't do it at all over there. Since you've told me my job over there is like a one-woman show.
Yeah.
My time is very special.
Yes.
I'm only in one place at one time.
Yes.
And you pay me to be there.
we don't use money over there, but yes, you do get rewarded. We are rewarded in many ways. Just the audience, I imagine, is your reward. Having an audience to entertain and all of that. But yeah, we don't use money. Did I just like totally deflate you?
No. I'm there in one place, one giant audience. They all have to show up to the one spot I am at.
Yes.
And, I don't know what type of show I do over there, but I like to imagine I carry like a giant box of props, like I'm like a clown. Mm-hmm. I like to picture I'm like Carrot Top over there.
Yeah, that's or Pee-wee. Pee-wee had props.
Pee-wee did have props.
Yeah. That Pee-wee's at the top of my brain because we just watched that.
We just watched the documentary.
Man, I love Pee-wee. I'm a big fan of Paul Reubens.
Pee-wee was great.
Yeah.
And Paul Reubens was really great. He was an improv guy. I look up to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you're an improv gal.
I'm an improv gal, yeah.
So, Paul Reubens was, what an incredible human being. Mm-hmm. All the trials that he went through, very sad to go through that. He had so many people that loved him.
Yep.
My entire generation, of course, growing up and watching Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yep. And then you shared it with me.
Yes, I did. Yep. I shared it with my children. And, the movies, of course.
Yeah.
The dinosaurs, they took you to the dinosaurs.
You did we saw the dinosaurs. Yep.
Yes. If you're in California, you have to go see the dinosaurs. They're amazing. And that area, I think, is really, really grown. I have been inside the belly of the Brontosaurus. Mm-hmm. When I went with Daddy many years ago, you could go in as a gift shop.
Yep.
So I have been inside one of those dinosaurs.
Unfortunately, though, the dinosaurs weren't as exciting as I was hoping they would be because they weren't lit up like they were in the movie.
No, we went at night at a time when we just were. It's just like when you're driving by, like what's going on, And that's a really exciting. It was a really exciting thing though, to go. The first time I saw them, Daddy and I were driving on the freeway, and I saw him in the rearview mirror, and I'm like, oh my god, because I was sleeping. I get narcolepsy. I woke up and I saw him in the rearview mirror, and I just about strangled him because he didn't stop. And I made him turn around. He had to drive like miles to the next exit so that I could go. And the fact that I was able to go inside the belly was a big deal for me.
You got eaten by that dinosaur.
I sure did. But it's a really cool, exciting thing. I don't even know who made that. Who created that?
Well, I don't know. I don't remember the name of who created the dinosaurs, but apparently they were on the set. In the documentary they talked about, they were on the set of
Big
the
Adventure.
movie. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I don't know how did we get on this topic?
We were talking about my one-woman show. We don't know what I do. And I said Carrot Top, and then you said Pee Wee Herman, and do I have props in my one-woman show up there?
I think you have props. Nice. If you want props, you got them.
I got some props. I hope I have some props. I hope I'm very clown-like. I want some props in this life. I got to do something with some props at some point.
Okay,
in my
so
career.
We all know that you love comedy.
I love
and so
comedy.
That's part of it. But I also see you as having some very dramatic roles and things that you do as well. So I see a lot of variety for you over there and here.
But some silly props is fun too. I love some silly props.
It's fun. Yeah. It's fun. Yeah, Carrot Top he has some funny props.
He has some funny props. I thought of Carrot Top because I just saw a clip of him last night where he was showing something, and he had a can of spray paint with a dictionary on it taped to it, so when you accidentally spray paint a word, then you misspell it, you can open the dictionary and it was. You don't want to misspell that. Yeah, it was stupid, but it was funny.
It was funny.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. That made me laugh.
Oh gosh, I wonder if they. So my biggest hope is that Paul Reubens can obviously not be many places in one time, because there's so many of us that love him, and so I would love to get a visit from him. Yeah. If he's listening.
Paul Reubens.
I would love to. But, you know, I don't know. I can't just like call out for anybody I want to, you know. I have talked to a lot of celebrities, but it's because I've read for celebrities and or people that knew them. You know, they were best friends, their neighbors, their family.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I could just say, hey, I'm, you know, I'm still waiting for Prince.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for that one. You know, it's been a very long time, you know. It's funny, though, because when a celebrity passes, if you go on YouTube, you'll see all these videos of quote-unquote psychics saying that they're speaking to them. And, you know, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, who are you? Like, why would they come to you to talk, you know, to give all the, you know, they're busy. They're doing their thing, you know, and that. So that makes me mad when I see that a little bit, you know. But, no, I wish I could just get anybody, but it's not possible.
Yeah.
I have to wait and be patient, and if it's right, then maybe it'll happen if I meet the right person. And that, so.
I want Carrot Top to appear right here in the center of this room.
Yes, he's, if he could biolocate on Earth, you mean?
Yeah,
like,
if he could, well, no, I think there's probably a way you can summon Carrot Top on Earth, just like, if you just like.
Probably a spell.
There's probably a spell to summon Carrot Top anywhere.
Well, okay, let's try it right now. Like, go for it. Let's see, Carrot Top, can you appear? I don't think it's gonna happen, but.
There's no Carrot Top.
Yeah, I don't think that's possible, but, you know.
There's probably a way.
Well, you know, if God wanted Carrot Top to appear, God would make Carrot Top appear, but maybe we're just not worthy right now.
Maybe, we're just not worthy of Carrot Top.
Maybe next time. This has gone in a very weird direction.
Yeah, it's gone very Carrot Top and Pee Wee Herman. So
yeah. Well, actually, I hope, like, if you don't really know, if you don't really know much about Paul Reubens, please watch the documentary. It's on HBO Max.
It's on HBO.
Yeah,
HBO Max. Yeah.
Please watch it.
Or just Max now.
Oh, Max. It's on Max.
It's on Max.
Yeah, I would encourage you to watch it if you love Paul Reubens, or if you just don't know much about him, or if you're one of those people who are, you know, stuck with that image in your mind of, you know, these allegations against him, and that I think it would be important to hear his side.
Yeah. It was very, very, very interesting life he lived.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Very. Anyways, I think that's all the time we have. Thank you for joining us. Maybe we can summon Carrot Top next episode.
No. I don't know. Maybe. Remember that God loves you, and I'm sending angels your way.
If you'd like to learn more about Missy Reno Smith, please visit MissyRenoSmith.com to book a reading and purchase her artwork. You can find the In Spirit podcast on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook, and wherever you stream your podcasts.